When you don't have time for all those facts, all those truths, here's just one. When you don't have an hour free and you need to be informed, take a listen to today's Morning Moment, coming up right now.
You're listening to A Radio.
Thank you for joining us. You're listening to A Radio, and this is the Morning Moment. Follow us on Spreaker.com and click on the like button. You can find us on most social media platforms such as iTunes, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Go to our website, aradio.wordpress.com, for details, where you'll find more content and details on our podcasts and more. So I picked these two clips up, both from Fox, as we in Canada don't get much else from the US. There isn't either CBS, NBC, ABC, etc. So I disregard those and don't even bother with them, quite honestly, and certainly don't bother with CNN or MSNBC. It's a waste of time. No, what I've been thinking for some time is this. It just might be as simple as no one is telling the truth. What do I mean? Pollsters, unfortunately, skew percentages in favour of Democrats for some unknown reason, because everybody knows they skew them. So what's the point? And we know from the last election that they got it so wildly wrong. To compensate, the mainstream media thinks they can keep putting out the same fake news about the president, thinking yet again, if they keep pumping it out, people will eventually think it must be so. But if you're like me, I think it's much more likely that the people are keeping their powder dry, so to speak, lulling these Democrat media organisations into thinking they've got the president on the ropes. If they can just stop the in-person debates, they have a good chance of making a knockout blow. Well, we'll see, won't we? It seems that the disinformation is everywhere on the mainstream media, in the US, including the socialist media. But time will tell, won't it? Time will tell. Here are those two clips that I mentioned. They're both from July 20th, from different shows on Fox, that really do make you wonder if the mainstream media are too confident with their Project Blue strategies. I think they are, and that's my comment.
Mr. President, you'll be happy to know that Fox News has a new poll out today, and you're going to be the very first person to hear about it. In the national horse race, Joe Biden leads you by 8 points, 49% to 41%. I understand we still have more than 100 days to this election, but at this point, you're losing.
First of all, I'm not losing, because those are fake polls. They were fake in 2016, and now they're even more fake. The polls were much worse in 2016.
That, of course, the president of the United States is dismissing the notion that he has fallen behind in the 2020 race against Joe Biden, despite the latest Fox News polls showing the former vice president pulling ahead by 8 points. But I asked the team to pull some more, like getting a bid on a home, you want at least 3. So here are a couple more. The NBC News Wall Street Journal poll has Biden up by 11. The ABC News Washington Post says it's more like 15. And to be fair, the Rasmussen poll is up by 3 on the low end, so you've got a little bit of a mix here. Here now to respond, Hogan Gidley is National Press Secretary for Trump 2020. Hogan, thanks for joining me tonight. No matter where you go, though, the polling is not positive for President Trump. And we have, in you, a mix. You just left the White House, now in leadership on the campaign. How is this resonating, do you figure, in both places?
Well, first of all, the president's absolutely right. Those polls are fake. For example, in 2016, in the exit polling, Fox polled 36% Democrats. The poll that Chris Wallace just referenced is at 46% Democrat. It's a 10% increase of who they actually look at and poll. And of course, elections at the end of the day come down to choices. We know we're in great shape with the American people because when you look at what Donald Trump will do with safety and security and protecting the American family, protecting our way of life, we're in great shape. When you compare and contrast that with the choice of Joe Biden, someone who, when asked, is it okay if we redirect funds away from the police? He says, yes, absolutely. That's a big problem for the left, and it's a big problem for Democrats. And I understand the media is doing a really good job covering for Joe Biden, saying, no, redirect doesn't mean defund the police. If that's the case, let me propose something to you, Harris, if I may. Your next paycheck, I'm not going to defund it. I'm just going to redirect some of that money into my account. Everyone knows that's a cut, and that's what Joe Biden wants to do. It would leave our American families vulnerable. It would leave our communities less safe. This president has done everything to protect them to this point. He'll do so in the next 4 years.
Some thoughts about all of these latest developments. Senior political analyst Britt Hume is here tonight. Good evening, Britt. You look at some of the media, and it seems they downplay some of these protests turned to riots. It seems that they don't talk about it in the same way that people in those particular areas talk about it, especially the businesses. What about the president's actions here and how he talks about it?
Well, it seems to me the president has made a calculation that the American public will not sit still for this level of violence in these cities across the country. And that people can see through the descriptions in the media that these protests are mostly or largely peaceful. When they get as violent as they've gotten in far too many places, including that attack on the police out west, out in Seattle over the weekend, I think the president believes that the people will be with the police, and if he's with the police, they'll be with him. We're not seeing that yet, though, in the polling, Brett. The Black Lives Matter has enjoyed, in the polling that I've seen, a very high level of approval. And we're not seeing the signs of a backlash against the lawlessness that I imagined that by now we would have seen. I don't know whether that's because people don't really feel that way or it's because a lot of people are simply not telling the pollsters what they really think. Hard to tell.
Here's the president on these different cities. Take a listen.
All run by the same liberal Democrats. And you know what? If Biden got in, that would be true for the country. The whole country would go to hell. And we're not going to let it go to hell.
You can find more at aradio.wordpress.com, where you can find links to us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Gab, Spotify, and email. We're on Spotify under the podcast section. Type in Canadian Politics with a twist and you'll find us. We are continuing to reach out to you, so please pass these links on to your friends. Please click on the follow button on Spreaker.com. You can listen to all our morning moments at Spreaker.com/A-Radio. EHRADIO, A-Radio. And please click on the like button. Join us Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 11:45 Eastern and tell your friends and pass the word. We only tell the truth, not what the mainstream media want you to know.